Hello everyone! We are coming to the conclusion of this challenge, so welcome to the last part of Stay Out Till Late at Night challenge. Again in 2 ships per video format. As always, special thanks to my lovely patrons and all of you who still watch my videos. Don't forget to subscribe to keep up with the uploads, and I hope you will enjoy this one. It felt all kinds of wrong to not let his boyfriends know he was staying late. But deep down, Shiba was curious how would they react. He always made sure to come home as early as possible to get as much time together as he could, especially now when Kuguri was still recovering and sleeping a lot. So now, his curiosity was the only thing keeping him from cursing himself for wasting 2 whole hours he could otherwise spend in the company of his beloveds. At least it's just today. And now it's getting better, so we will soon get much more time together. Repeating that in his head a few times, he decided to do some more passing drills he was still painfully average in, and then spend the rest of the time planning something nice they could all do together. Kuguri's sickness made going out a little complicated, as he was still bound to his crutches even when he wasn't feverish. But that didn't mean they couldn't have a great time. They all deserved it after their last trip almost ended in a disaster. And Kuguri deserved to know they loved him when even his parents failed him. He gritted his teeth when the memory resurfaced in his mind, a sudden urge to say to hell with it and rush home to hug Kuguri to sleep taking over him for a moment. That, and to go find everyone who dared to hurt Kuguri so much and maybe snap their necks. Violent? Sure. Deserved? Definitely. Another reason why we need to step up. We've been awfully blind to things before. Tapping a last few words into the reservation document, he threw his things into the bag and soon was on the way to the train station, hoping he didn't make his boyfriends too worried. The apartment seemed quiet when he finally arrived, almost 3 hours after he was supposed to thanks to some railroad works. To say he was annoyed didn't describe his feelings in the slightest, but he took care of swallowing everything down before he actually opened the door. The last thing he wanted was to snap at his boyfriends for something that wasn't their fault. Or for anything, really. That also never ended well. Minding the volume of his steps, he made his way further into the flat, but then stopped abruptly once he reached the living room, melting over the sight that appeared in front of him. Don't tell me you waited the whole time. Kuguri's head snapped up from where he was clearly fully focused on Inuka's sleepy features, almost knocking his head from his lap. We wanted to wait for you since you haven't said anything about coming late, but... He glanced at Inuka again, and Shibama had to smile. But the big baby fell asleep, huh? As usual. He crossed the remaining distance and gently patted Inuka's hair, unable to help himself from ruffling it a little, and then finally leaned down to kiss Kuguri. He wanted to playfully berate him for not calling, but the words left his mind completely when he realized Kuguri's skin was much warmer than it should be. Are you okay? You look exhausted. It only now dawned on him how glossy Kuguri's eyes were and how heavy his breathing sounded. He quickly checked his temperature with the back of his hand, worry already bubbling to the surface. Did you take the meds today? Yes. I'm careful, I swear. But you don't feel well, do you? I'm just a bit tired. It was a lie, they both knew that. Inwardly cursing his timing of the challenge, Shibama clenched his jaw and, as much as it pained him to do so, gently shook with Inuoka to wake him up. Wait. Shush. You would have to wake him up anyway. Neither of us is built to sleep like this. I could manage. He yawned and rubbed his eyes, looking like a puppy after a long nap. I'm not that old yet, you know. Yeah, whatever. Come on, get up. Inuoka clicked his tongue, but obediently started to gather up, though he definitely didn't look happy about leaving his comfortable place. How come you can come home so late and still order us around, huh? If you weren't such a damn sleepyhead, you would already notice now it's burning up again. Maybe that's how. All tiredness as if left Inuoka's body in an instant. His eyes widening, he turned to Kuguri, who was currently trying to appear as small as possible, and flinched the second Inuoka touched his forehead. It's not that bad, really. Yeah, we heard that one before. He carefully tucked Kuguri on his feet while Shibama positioned himself to his side in case his leg gave up under him or his head decided to black out. Right on time to catch him when he wavered, earning a quiet thank you and one heartbreaking sorry. You have nothing to be sorry for. But you said to tell you when I'm not well. I really thought it was just exhaustion, I swear. Shh, it's okay now. Let's get you to bed and I'll bring you something for it, okay? Nodding, Kuguri let Inuoka lead him to their bedroom, all but crumbling on the bed. Shibama quickly fetched the thermometer, but fortunately the fever was nowhere near as bad as he worried. Still, he learned not to underestimate health-related things in Kuguri's case, meaning they were up for a long night. But that was fine. As long as they didn't have to make another emergency trip, it was fine. Soon, they were all comfortably wrapped in the covers and each other's arms, but not falling asleep yet, as it seemed that taking care of Kuguri woke them all up. The peace and quiet was nice though, and Shibama had zero regrets about it despite the late hour. Why did you come so late? Yeah, good question. Where were you? We thought you got lost somewhere. Oh, yeah, sorry about that. It was supposed to be a challenge, to come home late and see your reaction. But I guess that went out of the window some time ago already. He caressed Kuguri's cheek, smiling when Kuguri reacted like a little kitten being scratched, the adorable scrunch of his nose melting his heart. Once you get better, I'll take you out as an apology. Oh? I like the sound of that. Yeah, that sounds nice. Good. Now go to sleep, both of you. Despite some grumbling, Inuoka was the first one to settle more comfortably against Kuguri's back, and it didn't take long for the soft snoring to sound from him. Sharing an amused smile, Shibama quickly kissed the tip of Kuguri's nose and then snuggled closer as well. Yes, now. If anything, wake us up, okay? Okay. Truth to be told, the only real reason why Kyotani came up with the idea was to get a little bit of space and time for himself. With everything going on surrounding Kyahaba's potential relapse and insecurities overall, the house felt more stuffy than usual. Not that he blamed Kyahaba for his suffering, of course not. He would be caught dead before even thinking something like that. But the fact was, they all needed some space sometimes, and he needed it right now. He wasn't worried about Shigeru since Kunimi and Gindaichi were home already and keeping an eye on him. However, to avoid hurting anyone's feelings, he needed an excuse. Maybe stupid, but an excuse nonetheless. Hence the challenge. Maybe it really would be easier to just tell them though. Who knows what mess will this cause? 2 hours of alone time are nice, but if Shige still starts to overthink, it's going to be a disaster. He shook his head to chase the gloomy scenarios away and took a deep breath of the fresh air to clear his mind and expand his lungs for once. With how many new cars appeared every month around here, he was lucky the local park was still an oasis of nature and quiet in the middle of the city's chaos. He decided against using his time to practice like he supposed the rest of the guys did, and instead opted for a walk along the darkened paths before he planned on heading to 2 shops he had along the way home. Since he was already stressing his boyfriends, he might as well buy them something to apologize for it. I just hope they won't be too upset. As if on cue, his phone vibrated in his pocket. A quick glance at the screen told him Yahaba was worried about him, but since it was barely an hour into his voluntary exile, he turned the phone on mute and put it away to not get distracted. Still, guilt gnawed on his mind for not picking up. He didn't have to be a psychic to know what Shigeru probably looked like right now when no one picked up. It's fine, I'll explain later. With that, he forced himself to stop thinking about home and to focus on relaxing his body and mind instead, though he couldn't help but sleep a few times anyway. Some lights were still on inside when he finally made his way to their house, suggesting at least 2 of his partners were still awake. Whether they were waiting for him or simply watching TV together was up for question, but Kyotani wanted to believe they were waiting for his safe arrival. Even if they waited only to cuss him out for not letting them know he would be late. With a last deep breath, he opened the door, welcomed by the sounds of TV playing in the living room, soon joined by the sight of very worried-looking Yahaba. Finally, where were you? Why didn't you pick up when we called? I thought... Feeling too bad to act nonchalant about it, Kyotani closed the distance between them and cradled Yahaba's face in his palms before leaning in for a kiss. Sorry about that. But I'm fine, see? No need to worry. That's easy for you to say. He seemed to calm down a little though, letting out an almost defeated sigh as he grabbed Kyotani's wrists. You didn't answer me. Oh, that. Yeah, I guess I owe you all an explanation, huh? He took Yahaba's hand and gently tugged him into the living room, carefully hiding the bag with apology gifts behind his back. Surprised, he soon realized all 3 of his boyfriends stayed up that evening, though Kunimi looked anything but happy about it. Gindaichi tried to look unbothered, but the year of living together had taught Kyotani to look for other signs. And right now, nervousness almost seeped from him, even though the only outside indicators of that were the tense lines around his lips and eyes. He had a lot to apologize for then. Look at who finally decided to grace us with his presence. Aki. No, don't Aki me when he's clearly ignoring us. I wasn't ignoring you, I didn't hear the phone. You're trying to tell me you haven't looked at your phone once for 2 hours? Yeah, right. Hey, maybe there was something important. He glanced uncertainly at Kyotani. Right? Too guilty to continue the pretend game, Kyotani sighed and set the bag on the coffee table. Not really. Sorry, it was a challenge. Challenge? Yeah. I was curious what your reactions would be if I came home late without telling anyone. For a while, neither of them spoke, until Kunimi clicked his tongue in disbelief. So we are here worried sick about him, and he's doing a challenge. Okay, fine, I admit it wasn't the best idea I had, but I was really curious. Why? So you can see if we worry about you? He sounded so hurt it made Kyotani's heart ache. He reached for Yahaba's hand to give it a gentle squeeze to hopefully convey his apology better, before he handed him his gift. A fluffy black cat plushie he had seen him eyeing for over a week now. Yahaba's eyes widened a fraction as he squished the plushie to his chest. Thank you, but what is it for? As an apology. He pulled the other 2 packages from the bag. A pack of sweets for Kunimi, and a new volleyball-themed mug for Kindaichi, since his old one met an unfortunate end on their kitchen floor 2 days ago. I'm sorry for worrying you. Kindaichi looked like he had to fight the urge to gleefully squeal when he spotted the mug, giving him one of his sun-like smiles. And Kunimi seemed content, at least, already chewing on a piece of caramel. Fine, you're forgiven. This time. Just don't do challenges like this again. I swear I won't. He caressed Shigeru's cheek, glad to see his gift was well received. And more importantly, that he looked much less tense than a few minutes ago. At least it might bring him to different thoughts. He frowned a little with the reminder of how fragile the current peace was. Sure, he hadn't seen Shigeru skipping meals in the last week, but there was no denying that he was sleeping worse than usual. And that something was definitely weighing heavy on his mind. Even if Kindaichi hadn't mentioned it before, the slump of his shoulders and nervous twitch of his fingers would be enough to tell Kyotani as such. It was worrying to say the least. Overthinking Yahaba was self-destructive, and Kyotani definitely didn't want to see him crumble again, physically or emotionally. At least for now, however, Shigeru looked happy, and he sure hoped it would stay that way for as long as possible. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I kinda like this 2-1-2 format of the videos, or like the Polyship challenges. Let me know in the comments if you like it or if you prefer the 1 ship per video format for Polyships. However, I think I will do it again for the future challenge that's coming up next. And yeah, let's see how that one will go. If you have any requests or ideas, the request form is linked in the video description. See you next time!